back to the channel. I'm going to be showing you all the books that I have colored in this year, as well as all my completed pages in 2022. I have decided to start with my smallest books, and as you can see, they're quite a small collection. But it is lovely to have small books to work in because the pages are a little bit quicker, and you can have a lot more of a play with the different books and use different mediums and all of that, which I quite enjoy. So I'm going to move my books to one side and get started with my small books. So first up is 100 Hugs by Chris Riddle. Now, this is not an actual coloring book. It is a little book of quotes that Chris Riddle has put together along with his illustrations. Depending on how you enjoy his illustrations and his work, you may prefer them not colored, or you may prefer them colored. I like Chris Riddle's illustrations. When I first came across him, I always wondered what it would look like colored in. Not because I felt that his illustrations weren't good as they were. They're absolutely amazing. And in no way do I want to, you know, like interfere with what he has done or change it. It's just merely satisfying my own curiosity to see what they would look like colored in. And so yeah, I think for me it's also that whole concept of actually coloring in a book that isn't a coloring book, is breaking that mold. I try to force myself out of comfort zones, and you know, there's no rules that say you can't color in a children's book. I'm not planning on selling it or anything like that. It's yeah, it's just purely satisfying my own curiosity. Anyway, so I'm gonna go through here and show you all the pages in this book, because I realized I haven't gone and dated them, so I have no idea what I have colored this year and what I colored last year. So as you can see, is a quote on this side, different people, different quotes, and then the illustrations. The paper isn't something that you would layer up a lot. It's paper, printing paper. So you just need a couple of coats, a couple of layers, and then you're done. So there's that one. I did the panda. I quite like how they came out. They're very sweet, and I think the bamboo is quite lovely. Then I did the flamingos, and I tried to show that they were standing in some water. Let's check there. I haven't missed anything. There we go. So here I have a quote by Charlotte Bronte, and I colored these creatures in, or people or fantasy figures, and what I did is I just kept the same colors and I just swapped them around. I felt like, you know, for all I knew, they could have been best friends playing twinsies, or maybe they were twins and they were just pleased to see each other. Then I did, you can see I didn't tag them. So I did the guy hugging the girl. Also very easy to do, because there's a lot of line work, so you don't really have to worry about texturing. Then I did the bats. It felt weird to not color in the entire page, so I just colored the page and then did the illustration. You have to be careful with these books because they're so fine. The illustration is easy to print on, and you just take an eraser and erase it. So you do have to watch for that. Then you've got these ghosts. I did the ghosts not because I like them, but just to get them out of the way. And the snowmen. And all of these I use Prismacolor pencils. I didn't use anything else because the paper is too thin. It would warp and buckle and bleed through. So yeah, that is what I've colored in 100 Hugs by Chris Riddle. Next up is Reptiloids, the first volume. And in here, if I just zoom you out a little bit, I did one page. I have a couple of whips in here, but this one I have completed. And here I used Ohuhu markers as a base, and then I went over it with polychromos pencils, I think. It was either polychromos pencils or Prismacolors. I have a feeling it was polys though. And using alcohol markers as a base really helped the vibrancy of this picture. So I'm really pleased with how he turned out. I used some white Sakura Jelly Roll for outlines on the clouds and highlights. I think I used some gel pen in the bird, but yeah, so it came out well. I was very, very pleased with him. So that is what I've done in Reptiloids, a coloring book by Vassal Seiko. Next up are my two books by Rita Berman. My first one is Die Welt unter die Lupe Zulandi, and here I did a couple of whips and completed pages. So here on this side, sorry guys, let's bring you up a bit. I started this page a while ago, and what I used was Neocolor 2s here, chalk pastel in the sky. I used Arteza pencils, and I think I stuck with the Arteza pencils. I used white Uniball Signo pen and white Sakura Jelly Roll for highlights, and glitter gel pens on the door, some parts of the centers of the flowers, so just ever so slight, and a little bit here on the mouse. Overall, it turned out really well, and I'm just glad that I completed it, and I think it ended up better than I actually anticipated. Then the next one I did was this one, and here I was just inspired by other YouTube channels using these very soft pastel colors for the sky. So I took white Sakura Jelly Roll and went over some of the stars. I drew in a constellation here, or drew over the constellation, and I used Spectrum Noir Sparkle to create a glittery effect on the background. And yeah, I mean, it's nothing really wow. I wouldn't have done this page if I hadn't been inspired with the colors. So that was a pleasant surprise. But it's not my best. I'm just, you know, it was one page that I had done and could complete. And then I have one more here, if I can find it. Ah, here we go. And which was my puzzle pieces. And this was a requested video by one of my subscribers who has also been a great support to the channel this year, and has also become a bit of a friend, which has really been a blessing to me. So she requested the puzzle pieces, and yeah, I was very surprised at how challenging they were. I used a mix of Black Widow pencils and Black Widow pencils on the petals and the leaves, and I used Prismacolor Premier for the background, and some glitter gel pen in the middle of the flowers, the centers, and white Uniball Signo pen or white Sakura Jelly Roll, just basically a white paint pen for the highlights on the edges of each puzzle piece. And I just took puzzle pieces out of one of my boys' puzzles and placed them randomly along the page, and then I worked using also a reference photo of someone else's puzzle pieces they had done on Instagram, just to get the idea behind the shading. And yeah, I was really surprised by the challenge this gave my brain. I hadn't expected it to be so mind-boggling and challenging, and yet it was very enjoyable and thrilling, and I love the effect it created. So this is probably one of my favorite pages for the year. So that was a really, really fun one to do. So thank you very much, Val, for suggesting it. So that is what I've done in De Welt unter de Lupe Zulandi by Rita Berman. Next up is Main Race Dirt Europa. Now in here we have got a couple of pages which we have done. Again, so this is a page we completed as a color along series on the channel. So if you go to the Rita Berman playlist on my channel, you will find this page, most of it colored in. I had started a couple of the circles, and when people started seeing it, I got a request to show how I was coloring in the circles. So I then made a video series. So besides this one, and I think part of the here, most of the pages are on the video, so you can definitely go check that out. And we use Prismacolor pencils for the whole page, or the double page spread. I use some paint pens over here, up here, just for a bit of added sparkle. A white Uniball Signo pen or white Sakura Jelly Roll for highlights. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. It took a lot longer than I expected. I think because I was trying to balance the colors across the page and not over complicate or bring in any clashing colors. I really wanted to work on limiting my color palette, and I enjoyed the challenge that it brought. But yeah, it did take a lot longer than I expected. The next page we did was on a live stream, and we did this one together. You can find this as well under the Rita Berman playlist or under the live streams playlist. And here I use Polychromos pencils, white Sakura Jelly Roll for some of the highlights up here. And on the waves, I use a Spectrum Noir sparkle pen, Dovecraft glitter glue for just some of the accents on the sand and the waves. And I colored this book, you know, half colored in, because I wanted it to be that the girl had taken her coloring book with her to the beach and she was busy coloring in. And I really liked how the umbrella turned out and the surfboards. So we used a little bit of gel pens along here, I think in the center of the flowers. So I use gel pens normally as an accent, and in here in the magnifying glass I try to draw through a slightly enlarged part of the flipper so you could see he was looking, it was reflecting through. So yeah, I was very pleased with how this one turned out. And then for another page color along, we did this one, and I again was practicing working with limited color palettes and balancing my colors, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. Again, I used Polychromos pencils. I used chalk pastels for the background and an eraser to create those circles. I used Dovecraft glitter glue and 3D pearl effects for the centers of the flowers, white Sakura Jelly Roll for the white highlights. And yeah, I was really impressed with how it turned out. It was a very cohesive page, and I was really impressed that I could do that. And also I really liked the background, the way I blended the colors together and created something different than what I would normally do. So I need to come back to this sort of idea and practice it a bit more. The next page I did was this one, which is a fall page, and it was also a bit of a web, but I managed to complete it. And here I use Prismacolor pencils. I use eyeshadow for the background, glitter gel pen on the borders, white Sakura Jelly Roll for highlights. And I really like the vibrancy of the reds and the blues. I think that it really works out quite well. And it was a lot of fun to color. This one I didn't do on a video though, because I had started it off camera. So I don't really like finishing things on camera if I haven't started it. I try to give you a complete page to color with me. And then I did this one, which, yes, I haven't uploaded to the channel. It's been recorded, but I'm not very proud of it. I'm not convinced that the colors work very well together. I use polychromos pencils, chalk pastels on the background. I used white Sakura Jelly Roll for a few highlights as well, and glitter gel pens. So it's not a disaster. I'm not convinced it's anything wow. So, and I had quite a few filming problems, so it's put me off it. I'm second guessing about whether it's actually worth putting up on the channel because of the quality. You know, I want to give you the best I possibly can, and if I'm not convinced something is my best, then I'm always in two minds about it. And that is all that I have done in Main Race Dirt Europa by Rita Berman. So those are my small books. Now I'm going to move on to some of my other books which have 1 or 2 pages colored in them during the course of the year. So the first one is Twilight Garden by Maria Trolle. And in here I just did 1 page, and it was a long-standing WIP. Now for this one, if I bring you out a bit more. Here I did chalk pastels in the background. I based everything with Castle Art watercolors and then went over it with polychromos pencils. And I'm very pleased with how polychromos behaved on this paper. I thought it was really, really lovely. So Castle Arts, polychromos pencils, Prismacolor, Premiere, they all work beautifully on this paper, and I actually quite enjoy the quality. I haven't yet gotten into this book, and I'm hoping one day I'll be able to really do it justice. But yeah, so this is my one and only page for 2022 in Maria Trolle's Twilight Garden. And yeah, it came out really, really lovely. I do think I need to practice yarn though. Get it a little bit more dimensional and accurate. But I like the gradient on these plants. So yeah, that is what I have done in the Twilight Garden by Maria Trolle. Next is the Forest Girls coloring book by April, and I think I only have 1 completed page in here, which is this one. And this one I used Neocolor 2s as a base for pretty much everything, and for the background I feel disappointed in the background. I should have used a different color. It doesn't complement the sunflowers, so it really, sunflowers don't stand out. And to create that popped effect on your page, it really does help to have a contrasting or an analogous color in your background. So here on this picture here by the original artist, she used a muted brownish beige sort of color, which complements and softens the whole page. But I chose something that was much too glaring, and unfortunately it doesn't do it any justice. So I used some glitter pens and gel pens for accents on the dress, doing a few little glitz and glamour on her dress, on these little flowers here and here. And then I just went over everything that needed something else added with a bit of Prismacolor, but the majority is Neocolor 2s. I used Castle Arts for the skin tone, and I think I used Prismas for her hair. So yeah, not my best, but you know, we live and we learn, and that's how we grow. So that is what I've colored this year in April's Forest Girl coloring book. In A Marantine by Anastasia Ellie Caldereva, I have one completed page, and I'm very pleased that I actually completed this page. It was also, it took me a really long time, and I needed a little bit of help. So I popped onto DK Design's coloring YouTube channel and saw how she colored the moon and the background. Now it wasn't for this page, it was for a different page, and I just interpreted onto this page. I used a Chris Cheng tutorial on another page with similar facial alignment for the skin tone and the face. The hood, the hair, the falcon, I did all on my own using reference photo for the bird. This is one of my ways of coloring hair, trying to make it more realistic. And yeah, I think I could have built up her cloak a bit more, and I definitely should have contrasted the colors on the bird a little bit richer. I think he's a bit too pale, so his color is there, but it's not quite right. I think it needs a bit more gray. I think it's a bit too blue. But yeah, it was really, really fun, and I really enjoyed it. I just find these illustrations take me a long time to do them well. So I was really, really proud of myself when I did complete it. So that is my... Oh, and I used Prismacolor pencils because they are amongst the few that work really, really well. So that is what I've done here on In a Marantine by Anastasia Ellie Caldereva. Then we have Christine Caron's Fairy and Fantasy Grayscale Coloring Book. Now here I've done one completed page, which is this one. And it was during a live stream, which you can check on the channel. You can find this page under Christine Caron, the playlist Christine Caron, and also under the live streams playlist. And here I used Inktense for the background, white Sakura Jelly Roll for the white dots, and Polychromos pencils for the rest. And then what I did is I took Winsor & Newton alcohol blender, and I just blended the hair, and it just takes the tooth of the paper away. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was a fun picture, and it didn't take very long, and I enjoyed playing and experimenting with the Polychromos pencils with, you know, in regards to skin tone. So yeah, and for an Amazon paper this wasn't too bad. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing another one in this very soon. So that is Fairy and Fantasy 2, a grayscale coloring book by Christine Caron. Then next we have Clara Markova, and this was a secondhand book I managed to pick up because you can't buy these books anymore. And I really loved working in this book. The Prismacolors, it's just a dream to color with. And I did one page in here, which was this one. And I was so pleased with how easy it was to color, even though it did take me a while. It was just such a joy and a dream to work with. So the whole thing is Prismacolor pencils with Spectrum Noir Sparkle and white Sakura Jelly Roll for all the white highlights. And I used a Winsor & Newton alcohol blender to blend out the background. So I hope you can see the sparkle. I just used the Spectrum Noir Sparkle to create that like starry glow in the sky. And yeah, really, really proud of this work. I think it just came together really well. Again, limited color palette, not trying to do anything overly fancy, and just restricting myself where I can. But the Winsor Newton alcohol marker did bleed the pigments through to the other page. So thank goodness it's isn't the pictures on the whole page, just these two little pictures here. But I can work with that and still color them. But yeah, I won't be using my Winsor Newton alcohol blender again in this book for fear of messing it up. So yeah, I'm very, very proud of this one. So that is what I colored in Clara Markova's, this one. I forgot, but I think it's called Magical Delights. And it was a delight. It was a delight to color in. Next up is Dragonology by Dr. Ernest Drake, the Coloring Companion. Dragonology, the Coloring Companion by Dr. Ernest Drake. And I did one page in here, if I can find it. Oh, there we go. So here I did the Chinese lung, and I used Inktense pencils as a base and then went over it with Polychromos pencils. I decided not to do a background because I didn't know what to do, and I felt that the dragon was busy enough as it is. So yeah, the only thing I used was the Sakura Jelly Roll for the highlights in these bits here. And yeah, that was it. I didn't highlight too much. It's just pure pencil. But I think it came out really well, and I worked quite hard to get depth in here. I am keen to see how this paper reacts to Prismacolor. The polys, I did have to work them to get them to build up to this extent, so it wasn't a quick and easy, and I did try and use a bit of a harder pressure, but with polychromos you really need to go soft and layer and layer and layer and layer and layer, and to do it justice you need a lot more patience, and lately I don't have that patience. So but other than a few bits here, you don't really see how hard I was pressing. I had to lighten up a bit because I didn't want to damage the paper. So yeah, that is my Chinese lung in Dragonology by Dr. Ernest Drake. Then next up is Millie Marotta's Curious Creatures. Now, this is a book I bought for one of my boys, but I was asked to do a page in here. So we chose this Jeroboa, and we colored it on a live stream. So you can check the live streams playlist and you should find it there. And yeah, it was an interesting experience trying to get it to resemble, have a bit of realism to it, while still coloring within the design. And I didn't do a background because again I didn't know what to do and I didn't want to overcomplicate it, so I left it the way it is. I'm not sure Millie Marotta is my favorite style of coloring. I find it all very challenging to see the shapes with all these little shapes. So but it was a fun challenge and I'm really glad that I could do it. And yeah, if you have other challenges you'd like, or you're curious to see how I would color them, please do let me know in the comments. I'm always happy to take on a challenge. I really actually enjoy them. So yeah, let me know. That is what I've colored in Millie Marotta's Curious Creatures, a coloring book, and we used polys. I think we used polys for that page. It may have been Prismas though, because of the shading. It was either polys or Prismas. I suspect it was Prismacolors, but I would have given you the polys in the description, so check the video, it will give it to you. So next up is Gracia Salvo's Wild Soul. Now I've only done one page in here, and I just finished it recently, and it is this one. So, well, what can I say about this page? I won't repeat how much I dislike this paper. I'm convinced that it's printed on the wrong side. They printed on the shiny side of the paper, not the matte side. Right, so because of the paper issues, I tried alcohol markers on here. I think chalk pastels in the background, or pencils, one of the two. I tried polychromos, and polychromos is an absolute no, for me at least. They just slide, nothing sticks. Prismacolor is much better, so it's polys and alcohol markers for the leaves, and then I gave up. I did Prismacolor for the girl and the dog. I did adapt a skin tutorial by Chris Cheng for the hair and the skin, and especially the face. I did try to follow the grayscale as best as I could, and then I used a reference photo for the dog, trying to mimic the Alsatian, but I made my Alsatian a lot more brown and less black. And then, yeah, prismas on her dress, her nails. I think I could have done some of the shading on her fingers here a bit better. But yeah, I'm very, very pleased with how his fur turned out. I think it came out really well. So overall, not a bad picture. And I will most likely copy another page from here and just try it on a different paper and see how it goes. Or I might try color in and use only Prismacolors. So that is my finished work in Gracia Salvo's book, The Wild Soul, and this is the Amazon edition. If you can get the artist edition, I'd highly recommend it, because you won't have as the paper issues I'm having. So next up is Gnomes in the Neighborhood by Denise Klett, and in here I have 2 pages, but I will be coloring in this book very soon because it is just such a fun book to color in. So here I used Castle Arts. I think I did Neocolor 2s in the background and then went over it with Castle Arts. I used all sorts of gel pens, Sakura Jelly Roll, and I tried to have fun with it. Castle Arts really did work well on this paper, and I was very happy with them, and I think I will definitely try use them a bit more. I don't like them on the background though. I think it's just too much work. But yes, they worked really well. So I would recommend Castle Arts. And by Castle Arts, I'm talking about the classic ones, the first set, not the gold. I don't have the gold. Just use the first set that came out. And then the other page is this one here. And here I used Neocolor 2s for the background, alcohol markers on the trees, Prismacolor pencils on the snow on the trees. I used a water-based medium here on the snow. I think it was Neocolor 2s. The snow man here is Prismacolor pencils. The hats, the scarf, this gnome were done with Marker Raffine. The trimmings on the hats, the bells, things here, the ribbons, the bells here, I use glitter gel pens. I move it like this, I hope you can see, and also on the buttons on the snowman. And then for the fluffy bits on their clothing, I use Dovecraft 3D Pearl Effects. And yeah, I really liked the effect it gives. It gives it a nice texture, and it was really quick and simple. So yeah, that came out really, really lovely. There are tutorials under beginner tutorials on how I color galaxy background as well as how I color snow. So you can check that out. And just as an extra tip, when you're coloring snow, if you go over just about everything again with your white pencil, it knocks back in the purple. It's the risk of using purple in your snow is if you use it too much and you don't knock it back with the white, it ends up being very purpley, which is fine if that's what you're going for. But if you're looking for a softer effect, you want to use your purple a little bit sparingly, and go over it and blend it into your lighter areas with your white pencil. So yeah, just a quick little tip there for you. So yeah, that's that one done. I am planning on coloring one of the winter scenes in here for you on camera so you can see how I would tackle it. So stay tuned for that. That will be coming soon. So that was what I've done in Gnomes in the Neighborhood by Denise Klett. So the rest of my books, they have more than one page, more than 2 pages in them. So I'm going to stop this video and I will give you another video. So it will be a bit of a series, just because of time. I don't want to make the videos too long. So a big thank you to all of you for your support throughout 2022. It's been such a blessing to me to see all the beautiful comments, the encouragement, to know that you enjoy coloring with me. I couldn't have done it without you, and just your encouragement in the live streams, picking things to color together has been a wonderful journey, and I really do appreciate it. So Merry Christmas to you. I will see you in the next video for part 2. And before you go, please do like, subscribe, follow, comment, share with your friends, and it would mean the world to me. And I will see you in part 2 of the series. So take care, everyone.